Today we are gonna see into how to install and set up a fabric sorry, it's a sawtooth development environment. So to do this we have to have Docker and Docker Compose installed. So let's check the Docker version. So if you don't know how to install Docker, so in Mac we can install by using this brew command. So we have separate tutorial for this. So now we need to have Docker Compose as well. So we have both the softwares installed in our machine. So let's go to official documentation. So we have this Docker has three kind of mechanisms to install. So one is using Docker and the second one is using Ubuntu environment. So any Linux or Ubuntu environment can be used to install Sawtooth. Third one is using AWS instance. So today we are going to see how to install using Docker only. So we go into this environment setup section from Hyperledger Sawtooth.org website. We can see we have option to uh, download the YAML file, which is Docker Compose file. So this file contains of images which will be downloaded from internet, and there will be a local copy of the images. So when we are running this Docker Compose on this file, this images instance will be created as a container in a Docker. So let's start to get. So we can download using right click, save as. So I'm going to create a new directory called tutorial sawtooth. I'm saving inside this folder now. So we have Docker sawtooth default YAML text now. So this has to be name of docker compose dot yaml. So this should be the file. If this is the file extension, we don't have to specify the file name and all. So we are going into tutorial sawtooth folder. So we have this file to be in this txt name. So I'm going to rename this file into docker compose.yaml. Then I'm going to start this using this command. So what up? So we have up, down, start, stop, select options in this Docker Compose. What this will do is, so up means like this will start pull the containers and then start the server. Stop will just stop the instance and the containers can be started again. So start is used to start the stopped containers. Uh, Down means like it will stop the containers and then remove the container sessions. Whatever the data which are stored there will get removed as well. So if we want to set up a new instance, we'll be using docker down, which will remove. Okay, docker compose. Okay, so I made the mistake of renaming the file docker compose yaml docker compose.yaml. It's hyphen, should be dot. So we have removed. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to use the previous docker compose So this is a different compose file I was using. So if you want to get down, so like remove all the containers, you have to use the exact docker compose file, since all the images has to be in the docker compose file. So here I made some changes, so this other file was not working before, so we're gonna try again. Docker compose down, docker ps. So we didn't have any containers running now. Docker compose up. So this will remove, so this will create a new instance of this sawtooth environment. So we are in. So our initial processor families have been installed now. So today we are not going to look into this XO or NK samples. So we are actually going to look at a JavaScript code which can be uh, so which has this client and server side. So I'll add the source code, the GitHub repository links in the description. So we have a client, so or also like this is a node application which will be a client. This was used to submit transactions to this uh, sawtooth transaction processor. So seeing the left side, this is a transaction processor code. So what it has is, this is a basic int operations. We'll be setting a variable value, then we'll be doing incrementation or increment or decrement, sorry, we'll be doing increment or decrement operation in the integer number. So this doesn't have much validations. This code is available in sawtooth core repository as well, but I'll share the link of the code which I'm using here. So this class will be extending from the parent transaction handler. We have to initialize the family name and the family version number and a namespace. This namespace is default. We are using first 6 characters of a family name. Then this family name, this 6 characters will be hashed, and then the first initial 6 characters will be used to identify this transaction processor. So then we are going to apply method. In this apply method will be called whenever a transaction is submitted. We'll be getting the payload here. We'll be validating. So whatever the client and server has to know what is the payload which has to be mentioned. So here this verb is the action, so function name. So if like whether we are checking it set or decrement increment, it's like if it's not there, we are just throwing an error. We can handle it any other way. Then we are calling the corresponding action function which we are mentioning here. So based upon the verb type, we are assigning a function to this action function and then making a call. In this action function, what we are doing is, so I'll show you the apply set method. Well, we'll be doing the set or get, say get and set. So we'll be changing the state of the data here. So that will be the main purpose of this transaction code. So whatever the functions we are going to call inside from the apply method. So here basically what we're doing is like we are getting the datas from this state value repository. Then we are checking whether this given name is already present or not. If it's present, we'll be throwing an error saying it's already present. We can't do a set again. We can try increment or decrement on that particular variable. If there is no state value already mentioned, we'll be assigning that particular value to this namespace. Then we are making a set entry call. So this set entry call, we are encoding. This is optional. Encoding your data is optional. If you want to be, it's like if you want to have some more privacy of the data, we'll be encoding or hashing the data. So then we are setting the state. So this is the handler side, but the client code will be having more uh, transaction related code. So we'll be seeing that now. Okay. So we have a init function to sign a transaction. We need a public key and private key. So we are creating some temporary private key and public key and then setting them in an environment file. So we are writing the public key and private key informations in this environment file. Okay, this is the place where we are submitting the transaction. Transaction. This is an instance of our transaction processor, and this is the payload which we are gonna submit. So we are making a post call to that particular processor family. So we are giving the payload and what is the transactor. So this is a common method. We can use this by change for different transaction families by changing the family name in environment variable. So here it's int key2 and the version is 1.0. So what that will be using that the instance will be connected. Then we are posting the payload. So let's start the application now. So since this is client, we don't have to execute this now. We'll start the server first. Node index.js. So before this we have to check whether it's got removed. Okay, it is removed. Web will be set, name is rocket, we'll keep it that way. We're submitting a transaction. Okay, our block is mined now. Now building top of flow, it's validating, starting block validation, comparing the chain with the head, then the revision height. So this blockchain height has been increased from 1, so 0 to 1. So our head is updated now. So in this tree, our head will be updated whenever there is update in the child of data childs. So it's done. Verb is set, name is rocket, value is 42. My data is stored. So to see the data, we have REST API, localhost 8008 state. This will be the uh, default endpoint for this. So this is the endpoint. This port number will be mentioning while starting the REST server. So this is the default validators REST API endpoint. So we can see the data. This is a CBOR encoded data. We can see this is encoded in base 64 format. So to see this data, I'm going to use buffer data comma base 64 dot to string. Okay, so this is not an node environment, so we'll be seeing again new buffer string base 64 to string rocket, and this is encoded value. So if you look into this ASCII table, we'll be getting the value of this U0018. So that's it. Like, I'll be adding this repository links in the description. Do like, subscribe. I'll be adding more tutorials on Sawtooth, Fabric, and Ethereum. Thank you.